Hello, welcome to AUTOMAT Live-Coding. This is the stream where we write AUTOMAT. This is AUTOMAT. This is an application that can control your desktop by sending input signals to other applications. It can click mouse buttons, react to hotkeys, press keys. Right now the application is kind of broken. We are working on actually improving the performance of the drawing. I would say we're quite good right now in terms of performance, but there are still some things that we should probably take care of. Like most of the drawing is broken. Connections, they don't render fully. When things are changing on the screen, we don't always, for example now, we have this smooth animation of the timeline, very high FPS, right? But when I pause it, right, we don't have the refresh, which kind of shows us that we have paused. So there are many things that we should take care of. So what we are doing right now is we are rendering all of the objects into separate textures and then compositing those textures on screen. What we want to do now is we need to somehow signal into the AUTOMAT infrastructure that, for example, when I move my mouse over a macro recorder, that, hey, we actually want to kind of animate eye movement right now. So like the textures should start refreshing now. This is called widget invalidation. In most UX frameworks, this is called widget invalidation. Yeah, plenty of things. We also need to adjust the boundaries for the connection widgets. Yeah, we're getting a lot of very weird errors. So this is what we are going to do today. Yeah, maybe we'll do cache cleanup. It's not super important right now, we are not really using that much memory. Just keeping a cache entry for each object on screen is not really a big deal. It's a couple of megabytes at most. And this stream is also present on a new streaming platform, Algora.io. So the chat on Algora Algora chat is not yet implemented. Eventually, I'll take care of that, but so far, it's still kind of not there. So for the time being, use Twitch or YouTube. So many people on Agora. Hi, folks. Okay, this is a heavy C++ kind of code base, so brace yourselves. Okay. So let's start with something simple, maybe this macro recorder. What we want to do is when I mouse over the macro recorder should send a signal that it wants to kind of clear its cache. Yeah. In the console we can see that when I kind of move the screen, there is only one texture being redrawn when I kind of drag it around. This is why we're getting high FPS. When I start moving my mouse over the macro recorder, it's also being redrawn, so it also shows up in the console. However, when I stop my mouse for too long, it goes to sleep and doesn't redraw anymore. So let's try looking at that. I think this object, macro recorder, has some pointer over action here. This looks like a great place to actually invalidate the animation cache. So that should be enough. Okay, let's see. Nope. It doesn't seem like we're getting this event. Do we actually get this? Let's see. Okay, so we are getting the pointer over event, but for some reason it doesn't refresh the cache of the window somehow. So we're going through all of the entries where this object is present. Oh yeah, but the texture for the parent objects, it's still not invalidated. So I think we'll have to do some... Actually, I don't know, there is something elegant in this approach that we could only invalidate the, like in the tree of widgets, we could only invalidate the leaf texture. The leaf texture is going to be redrawn, and then that could trigger composition into parent textures. It's like bottom-up drawing. But it would require a more clever structure for our drawing, and I'm not sure if it will introduce some issues, potentially. For instance, if we would get like 1,000 kind of mouse updates per second, because mouses can do that, we would redraw the texture 1,000 times per second, which is just wasteful. We don't need to do that. Okay, so let's do it like that. Let's create a set of all parents. So first we will iterate through all of the draw cache textures. We will find all entries where we have our object, where our object is present. And we will add each parent to this parents set. Maybe I will make it a set. It's going to be super slow, but who cares? It doesn't show on like profiles. When it shows up on profiles, we will optimize this. Set is super slow because set allocates a ton of objects. Here we should use something like a flat. Maybe there is flat set. Nope. Anyway. Okay, now we can do another round through the draw cache. And now we will just check the last element. So we need this entry. And I'm not sure if I have to optimize this really. Because maybe I will switch to this other rendering technique. Let me take note about this other technique. To Hey, Knight.
Knight says,
"Hi, everyone."
Litfit says,
Hey.
Hey, Litfit. Okay, let's see if this works. Cool. So we have stopped.
Do you? You think that AI may face some problem that it won't be able to overcome?
Well, so my professor at the university always told me to never speak this way about AI. I mean, in a sense that gives it like personality, because it can introduce some like bias in how you look at those things. So when you say AI may face some problems, you mean that there are some tasks that we are not going to be able to solve with AI. This is how I kind of understand it. So there is a fun kind of argument which speaks to me, and it's that so current AI is loosely inspired on neural networks, which are similar to, they're not identical, but roughly you have this like network structure of neurons, connections between them. The neurons act as amplifiers and filters. And since this architecture seems to work in our brain, it's certainly going to also work in hardware. Still have some issues, but I don't think they're critical.
It's hard topic, hard to predict what's gonna happen in the future.
Yeah. I was recently looking at Flux, the new architecture, the one based on this one. So really cool ideas about like image understanding and creating like solid compositions for images. I mean, so contrary to older ones, this also takes inspiration from transformers. So stuff like Stable Diffusion, it used to use UNet architecture for like encoding and decoding images. And this one uses an approach based on image patches, and it has an attention mechanism between them. So yeah, things are getting cooler and cooler. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this AI space. And I am pretty much optimistic about this.
Maybe in some years we won't be slaves of our jobs anymore.
Precisely. This could be like amazing. Yeah, my biggest worry is about the governance of those models. The governance is key because it decides who has access to tools, like the new benefits of AI. If the access to AI is going to be gated on how much money you have, then that could only kind of exacerbate some issues that we have right now. But if access to AI is going to be free, and it appears that so far it's progressing in the right direction because we have a lot of open source models, then the future could be really bright.
But am worried that it will take like decades before we will have this type of tech.
Maybe. There is a lot of interest right now, so I think, you know, in like 2000s or 2010s, even early 2010s, there were much fewer people working on this area. I think like just the number of people who kind of joined it and who's kind of trying to push things forward, you know, like finding those, like the history of AI is, it's like a so long sequence of those like significant milestones, right? Like coming up with embeddings, transformers and attention, or like LSTMs, like the networks, recurrent networks with memory, graph-based neural networks, you know, each of them kind of pushes us forward. And like I think the more people works in this field, the more likely, like it's like rolling a dice. Everybody who tries to kind of find something new rolls a dice, and they have some percentage chance to find a new innovation that will push the field forward. I think right now we are in the stage where there are just so many new innovations coming out so quickly that, you know, we can estimate how many kind of cool techniques are still left to be discovered by the like rate at which they are being discovered, you know, every month, for example. I haven't done the math. I don't know if anyone has, probably somebody has, but the rate of progress is quantifiable. And my impression is that if we try to quantify it, it would be
I heard that to have energy to use those algos, it will take like 100 billions in 2030 or 2025.
Possibly, but this is kind of because we're using this global backpropagation algorithm, which requires us to kind of like create like a copy of the whole neural network and all of the intermediate matrices in memory and do expensive operation on that. Like our brain doesn't do that. The neurons in our brain have a local kind of method for doing our neurons don't do backpropagation in this global fashion. They have a local version of that. We just haven't found the kind of formula for that.
So it's like some X1000 some countries' GDP.
Yeah, but it's that, you know, the optimization algorithm that we are using right now, it's very powerful, definitely, but it's different than what biological neural networks are doing. By the way, we don't know what they are doing exactly. We know about Hebbian learning, that neurons create connections between other neurons, with other neurons that activate before others. We know that hormones, there are hormonal signals that also control how connections are being made. For example, if you're afraid of something, if you are in pain, it will create different types. It will, for example, it will influence your kind of brain wiring towards, for example, avoiding specific situations.
I don't know also why so many people demonize the AI, saying some reptilians will make us slave.
Well, there are some risks to AI, right? The risks are specifically about control over AI, so I wouldn't discount the reptilian argument. It's just, I wouldn't call them reptilians, I would call them elite, or people with access to AI. If it, for example, turns out that only people in rich countries have access to high-tech, AI support, and people in poorer countries don't, they will always be kind of given handouts and will not get the opportunity to kind of also influence how AI is developed, also use AI themselves. Then it could kind of lock them in. So we wouldn't say reptilians, but definitely the elite, the people controlling AI, they could lock the access to powerful AI.
Tadoom says,
I just want a local, complete assistant with the reasoning abilities of Claude Llama 3.1405b. That doesn't answer like it, has a stick ups its off, and doesn't waste precious tokens on useless warnings, noticed, and refusals.
Yep. I wonder if the companies that make those models, if they actually, because, so, okay, there are some possibly monetary incentives that they could have to actually make models less cooperative and more verbose, because, right, the more tokens they use, the more money they are being paid. So a model which responds immediately, gives you the answer, is probably less monetizable than a model which likes to elaborate first. And there is a similar effect in Play stores, for example. So if you have a Play Store, on the Play Store you have a bunch of free apps and a bunch of paid apps. And when those two are equivalent, they have the same functionality, or paid apps, a bunch of. There could be also ad-supported apps. If they all do the same job, obviously the free open source app is the best, right? Because the user doesn't have to pay for anything. The user doesn't need to watch any ads. But from the perspective of the App Store, from the perspective of the App Store, the two latter categories are way better. So if the App Store wants to promote an app, they have absolutely no incentive to promote free apps. They only have incentive to promote paid apps or ad-supported apps, because they give actually money back to the App Store. App Store gets there was even a period in Google history where that was the case. I think this was solved now, because now I remember when I was leaving Google, the situation was way better.
Graven Development says,
Hello from France.
Hi, Graven. So yeah, I think there could be similar kind of dynamics in the AI model space, where like a model which is just wasteful, like wastes your time, wastes your money, wastes your like credits, is better from the perspective of the company. Ultimately, it will give you a good answer, possibly better because, you know, it's chain of thought prompting, it emits more tokens, it has more time to kind of process the information. So it effectively, the model kind of spends more compute to answer your question, but also you pay for this compute. Okay, I am going to do that. I should probably also change that.
Litfit says,
We will see how it's gonna end. But I don't think that those in power want to collapse of society, cause who in power they will be of.
I'm not like thinking of this like as a collapse of society, but as a like deepening of like gap between technology kind of users, like consumers and producers. That the producers are going to be like a different kind of social layer.
Tadoom says,
What's slightly worrying is the trend to automate usually simple tasks like data extraction with massive trillion parameter LMs. So inefficient.
You know, it really depends. Like you're talking very abstractly, so I'm trying to interpret this kind of positively. But when I hear this, I think about, you know, user time. I think user time is way, way, way more important than, you know, compute time. Like energy from sun is basically free. Or from the wind, because there's a lot of wind in my area right now. And about the like whether those models are really, really expensive. I remember these. A friend told me that actually the most kind of cost-effective, like consumer GPU is NVIDIA 20-something, 2060. How much VRAM does it have? 6 gigabytes, it's almost nothing. Because it has those RTX, like much more CUDA than the previous series. So this is something that's totally like within, like it's cheaper than a smartphone, right? Like almost everybody has a smartphone. What's the again the price? Okay, this is not the price of this card. I'll quickly check. So it's about $200. This is like a low-end smartphone price. I mean, it's a desktop GPU, so it cannot run alone, you need a desktop. But you know, smartphones are also going to get those accelerators. I think the energy argument is going to go away. Of course, I mean, data centers always used to consume a lot of like power. It's not really anything new. I don't know. It's really hard for me to, because like the efficiency, it keeps improving. And if we have like, we could have either like centralized architecture with like highly optimized data centers which can compute, which can run language models cheaply, or we can have this distributed architecture with tensor accelerators on edge devices. And both of those, it seems to me that they could do the job. And there are tiny ML models, like 2 billion parameters. What's the best ones right now? I haven't checked this in a long time.
LitFit says,
Are you exited personally? Do you? You think it will be like people need to do jobs and will travel and do what they want, or other move around?
Yeah, I think it will not be a revolution. It will be a smooth transition. It's just the pension, like for example, the pension age, retirement age will be lowered. The retirement kind of pension is going to slowly increase. And more of the industry is going to be automated, slowly and slowly. Is Grok 2 open source? It's hard to say. It was announced as open source, but okay, but Llama's fairly good. Can I filter by weight?
Tadum says,
Would be interesting to see some kind of hybrid approach like you can do with Llama.cp locally, a draft model on the edge device, and then a powerful model via API done.
LitFit says,
Hope like in 10 years we will see some drastic changes.
Okay, so this is a 2 billion parameter model. This is phone ready. This is absolutely, you can run this on a phone. It has this score. I don't know if you can compare it and like look at the performance. The performance of this 2 billion parameter model, it's actually better than Gemini 1.0 Pro, which is the paid closed source version, which was released a year ago. So this is a 2 billion parameter model released like 2 months ago, and it's comparable to like top-end closed source product from like 1.5 years ago. So the efficiency increase is insane. And the top models.
Hadoom says.
Yeah, Gamma is neat even for more creative writing, Dachwar.
1132. Okay, so it's almost 200 points between like the state-of-the-art best model. But I'm also not super confident in this benchmark because you know, OpenAI has some kind of behind-the-scenes access to the questions that people are kind of sending here. So the difference is, I would say this is an upper estimate. So in the worst case, the difference is 180 ELO points between a 2 billion parameter model and a state-of-the-art. There's really not that much.
Litfit says.
I wonder how much we will have to keep working before basic income finally moves in.
So there is this key kind of element of automation, which is motor control. This is an open field still. There is a part of our brain which handles that, and in all mammals. This is the tiny, like, mini brain behind your actual brain. It's called cerebellum. Like in the pictures of the brain, this stuff here, this is the cerebellum. This is actually something that can be damaged or can be, for like various reasons, kind of underdeveloped in some people. And it's actually an optional component of your brain. Without this cerebellum, you will still live. Lack of cerebellum causes difficulties in like speaking and in like motion, kind of coordination. People who had stroke in this region, they exhibit those shakes. And cerebellum is very interesting because it has a very unique architecture with, I think, Purkinje cells. They are like different shape of neurons and pyramidal neurons, I think, if I remember correctly. So it's not organized in layers, this part. Like the cortex, it's this like wrinkled, like lasagna structure, but cerebellum is not quite. And cerebellum is it has bidirectional connections to cortex. So the cortex is somehow using the cerebellum, we don't know how, to coordinate the movements and speech, and like even some high-level kind of actions like that humans perform, they are also assisted by like even like sentence composition. It seems that it's also assisted by cerebellum. So I think if we figure out the algorithm that kind of governs this part of the brain, because I think like the cortex, okay, we still don't know exactly how cortex works, but transformers seem to be kind of close. It seems that the attention is key kind of mechanism in cortex. And
we will have basic income and won't have to work in our lives.
I wouldn't call this basic income, but I think it really depends on whether we are going to automate this. If we are going to automate fine motor control, then yes. Because if we will be able to automate this part of the brain, then we can automate physical labor. And if we can automate physical labor, then, you know, a robot can literally like take care of your garden, clean your house. Like, this is like the key kind of gateway that we have to, like, this is like the breakthrough that is still kind of waiting to happen. Because if we don't automate this, then there will be some automation, but some jobs are still going to be kind of left behind. Like, the result is that humans will still need to operate machinery, for instance. And the current language models seem to be on the right track to actually automate most of the mental kind of like blue collar labor. Yeah. So from my perspective, the most interesting area right now is robotics. Because we have good vision, we have good like language, like voice recognition, voice generation. We have good, like language models are actually, like from all of the approaches to AI, so before Transformers came out, there were a lot of people who were pushing for evolutionary or agent-based AI. And I always saw this kind of research direction as kind of a little bit scary, because it teaches AI to kind of manipulate others to kind of work in this like competitive environment where you have to like make sure that others' goals are aligned with yours. So this is just my personal kind of thing, and it's not even grounded in any, you know, real kind of arguments. But I was always a little bit worried about this kind of path, so I'm super happy that language models are from my perspective 100 times better, because they are interpretable. So whatever they are thinking, you can literally see the tokens that they are generating, and you can see in plain sight what the language model is doing. So the alignment is really not a problem here.
Tadoom says,
Yeah, gotta love the LMS working better when you promise them a large tip.
Yep. So this like evolutionary / agent-based AI, or even reinforcement learning as well.
Litfit says,
Do you think the big bomb will be like in 3 years, 5, 10?
So I think the boom is still happening, because like even last month I found this, like I learned from you guys actually about Flux. Right. Flux is another like architecture improvements for image generation. It's not for language models, but for language models we can guess where the next breakthrough could be. So we could have better learning rule. So our brains, our neurons they have a local rule for learning. A neuron doesn't really know what the effect of its action were. So a human neurons somehow know how to do this locally. We just need to find this like better learning rule. We could have a higher level transformer. So something that doesn't operate on tokens, but some higher level abstraction. We could, maybe there could be some like technique that incorporates like the causality. Not causality, but like something that incorporates like higher level planning. Because right now, current models, when they emit a token, they create text one token at a time. You can ask them through chain of thought prompting to work in this other mode, but there is always this like principle about neural networks that when the architecture reflects the structure of the problem, the network has an easier time learning. And you can save memory, like save compute.
For now, It will be like more people will lose jobs to AI. And I wonder like how they will live, how they will earn money.
Matsuri says,
Hello, what are you coding currently? Damn you.
Hey Matsuri, we're kind of trying to optimize AUTOMAT. You can scroll to like the start of the presentation, like the presentation at the start of the stream to kind of check this out. About losing the jobs, yeah, I see your point, Litfit. Absolutely. I think it's important to kind of push for better like wealth distribution among, like, because the companies which are automating work using AI, they are getting like higher revenue. They are actually getting like benefits out of that. So I think more of that increased revenue should actually be taxed. There should still be incentives, obviously, to increase your revenue, but definitely a higher tax on automation. Because if like the economy is producing some amount of, you know, goods and services, this doesn't change, right? When we automate stuff. We had people doing this job, and now we don't have people doing this job. The robots are doing this job, but we're still producing the same amount of stuff. Then it's just this stuff has to be better distributed. It's the distribution problem.
Litfit says,
This is kind of sketchy because some people will be poor.
Yeah. And the society should, like, this is like the goal of, you know, all governments, to actually minimize the disparities between lucky and unlucky. So I think any of those three would be like a big breakthroughs.
Adoom says,
Had an idea about streaming infinite LM generation, but the smaller models I'm testing so far always bug out shortly after the context is filled. Imagine an infinitely generated live TV show where the LM continually describes scenes and a video. Generation model implements them using the previous scene's frames as reference. Probably also going to have to use an agent-based approach to this instead of the direct token stream.
Mm-hmm. That will be insane, like completely AI generated YouTube. Phew. So I actually think a lot of the like art categories could be made obsolete by that. Especially any type of like fantasy, any type of content which is not grounded in, you know, real world. So maybe not sports transmissions or maybe not news, but if you wanted to like see like the new Marvel movie, you could ask LLM to kind of come up with a next Marvel movie. with your, favorite characters. You can even tell it what you want to happen in this movie. So I've been also playing with this idea. So I have this, what is it? So I once created this template to create stories, like RPG scenarios. So it's an empty template, which just says, how the story should look like. Events to steer the plot, introduction for the players, private information for each character. There is also the grammar that makes sure that the model rewrites the adventure correctly, so it should always agree with me, and then start rewriting the adventure. Let's see, attempt 1. Maybe attempt 2. Yeah. So now I have a model which can create a story. And I left this overnight, actually a couple of times, to create some RPG stories. And they weren't bad. They were not bad, actually. The model kept improving the story on every iteration. And the final stories were actually kind of cool. A little too... It's very trope heavy, definitely, the way that it generates stories.
Which model did you try for this?
I think it was Dolphin. Dolphin Mistral or Mixtral. Yeah. Because the stories, they have a lot of kind of adult elements, quote unquote, like, for example, you want to have a thief that steals something, you want to have like an evil kind of mage that wants to, for example, like capture somebody and sacrifice them. So you have stuff that like most mainstream models wouldn't like to generate already.
Jennifer Longrider is really good at following prompts like write a 10,000 word story.
Mm-hmm.
Could be great with this template.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I might get back into this. Like, creating stories is also fun to do it like without LLM, but LLM, if you just need ideas, you just ask it and it just spews ideas like one after the other. And like, well, most of them will be meh, some of them are just amazing.
URL.
Copy this. Yeah, right now I'm in the phase of like using language models. Probably in a month I will take another look at state of the art, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it will be further than it is today. Okay, we were actually going to optimize this, and there was a tiny bug that I want to fix. Period. Let's have a second.
Knight says,
My brain is fried from listening to the same background music over and over again. You should change it up every now and then. I think for the last 3 streams, only 3 songs have been playing in the background.
Yeah, this is probably a good point. I do have some songs queued. I just need to kind of come up with good names for them. Yeah, thanks for the tip, by the way. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, I'll make a short break. Be right back.
We have the same taste in music. If you want, I can share my playlist with you. But you will have to pay attention to copyright.
So, I don't know if you've seen, but I'm using this Suno service. Something that solves pretty much all of the kind of copyright problems. Now when I go to my YouTube, I look at Studio YouTube. Live videos. The restrictions column, this is the important one. None of them have like copyright claims. A bunch of them have been removed.
Can we organize it in Suno Poetry?
Mm-hmm. If you have something cool, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to come up with names right now. This is approach.
So I can edit your playlist?
No, but if you send a link... Actually, let me see. Actually, my playlist is just a directory with MP3 files. If you can somehow share like a playlist or a directory, I can download it from wherever. Yeah, but the big thing is copyright. Even if songs are marked as Creative Commons, CC BY whatever, SA or CC BY, that doesn't mean they are copyright free. People will still mark them as copyrighted and claim rights to them. Trolls, not the actual owners. There are whole companies that kind of exist because they claim copyright to Creative Commons tracks and then they send strikes. And to remove the strike, you have to pay them money. I found those companies twice so far on YouTube. They are just abusing the YouTube strike system. So yeah, it's just the tracks, but they have to be kind of original. They can be generated by AI.
I see.
So especially the music tracks which are marked as quote stream safe, they're actually not stream safe. They are just marked as stream safe so that people will use them, so that then those companies can come after them and send and ask for money. Actually, Cyberpunk is okay.
Recently, Cyberpunk 2077 was playing in the background. Did you have any copyright issues with it?
Nope, nope. Yeah, I will have to make sure I kind of properly tag this. Cyberpunk music was fine for streaming. However, it's like the developers, they said that. What did they say? I remember I was reading some note here. No, not radio. So the developers indicated that they want, if you're streaming Cyberpunk music, to actually your content to be related to Cyberpunk in some way. It's not that they are actually sending strikes or coming after anybody. They're actually cool with that. It's just, if they don't want it, I'd rather not do that. But music in the style of Cyberpunk is totally fine, on the other hand. One more issue. Okay. This is another issue. If the mouse stops moving outside of the object, we are also stopping the animation. Okay, let's fix that. For some reason now it keeps refreshing.
So would it be an issue if a radio like this one watch Vivx KQ VBQ plays in the background?
YouTube has some issues. the thing is, this radio, it could have copyright, kind of copyrighted music on this. But generally, yeah. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, because those music tracks are not, they are created by some authors, and if those authors assigned the copyright, or if some company claims the copyright to those tracks, yeah. Yeah, this will almost certainly create issues. So that radio, if it's playing live, they either doing this just without, getting copyright from them, or maybe they acquired it through some music library. There are music library sites that you can pay, and then you can kind of use their music in your content.
Wow, finding music to use on a stream is really tough then. Now I understand better why you only use 3 songs.
Yeah. So the start time generating on Suno is decent, but each generation, for each of them, you have to actually spend some time to actually listen to them and pick, the good ones. I had some cool ones lined up. I just need to come up with titles. But even then, this will create maybe 15 minutes of new music.
Long live Cartwell Vitwitz just followed on Twitch.
Our scammer is improving their evasion techniques by changing the username a little bit. maybe this. I wonder what part of the code is causing the animation to kind of keep running. Okay, it stopped. Okay. Okay, interesting. So the animation is so slow that it didn't even change the value. You can use it as a signal to stop the animation actually. Okay. Now this seems to work fine. So when a pointer is over the object, I would like to get a notification when it moves. Maybe I can somehow register here. When I get this std remove, I guess I should pop back. And we have to call this new method. Blah, blah, blah. Let's say it's going to be called after all of that. Okay, now we can stop the animation when the mouse doesn't move. And our FPS goes to 1000. Cool. So that was the first properly invalidated object. Whew. There will be quite a lot of them, I guess. We have quite a lot of stuff to remove here. Let's submit this stuff so far. Okay, so that was the first part. What else we can fix now? There are some bugs related to buttons, I guess. Right, when I press this button, it doesn't update. When I press it again, it also doesn't update. So the button also needs to update itself. First we have this hover.tick, we should replace it. Okay, we have 2 of those. This should be just a float. Okay, it looks like it works. We just need one more invalidate call in the pointer leaf. Now, okay, let's wait till animation stops. Okay, it stopped. When I hover over a button, it lights up, it redraws itself for a couple of seconds and then stops. When I move mouse out, it gets darker, and the animation also stops. Okay, the next one is going to be the filling pointer. Actually, I wanted to check more stuff like this. I think this is fine. Invalidate buttons on hover and on click. Okay, so this is a type of run button, which already has our activate. Yep. Those brightness changes, they are done using the exponential approach. I think linear would be better, because the exponential spends a lot of time either fully bright or fully dark. It's totally invisible. target, delta time, speed, and value. I think this function should return phase. Probably change this to something like 5. Okay, it doesn't want to go to sleep right now. Yeah, we missed one branch. Okay. Now the updates, there are just a couple of frames of updates. We don't have this slow exponential approach anymore. Nice. I could maybe make it even faster. The faster animation, the better. Cool. Nice, much nicer effect. And it reduces the compute cost. What else do we want to fix? Those number buttons, they seem to be different. I don't know why. Yeah, let's look at them. yeah, this is how we draw regular buttons. And number buttons don't have this. Just have this draw button function. I don't like that we have this cutoff here. I wonder what's the right way to do this, because we also have shadow that we should account for. Those buttons, the shadow is clipped by the texture rectangle. I wonder, maybe we could replace these lines, with something cheaper. So one solution would be to just say children outside true. But maybe we could introduce something like draw bounds, like texture bounds, which would return the size of the texture for this object. That would be very similar to children outside function, and I think we could actually remove it and replace it with the new function. Okay, let's submit what we have. So the point of this function is to return like the bounds where children can be drawn, but not necessarily where the widget is kind of responding to events. So that should include shadow or any kind of external effects. We are going to call this function texture bounds. And it's going to return rect. The default implementation is actually going to return object bounds. So sometimes the shape of the object can change. For example, if it's pressed or something like that. But let's say that texture bounds should be like display invariant. Yeah. And in all of the places where we use that, we now have to modify this. Actually, this flip-flop button is going to return reasonable size. Let's move this to a separate file. And we're going to outset it by the shadow size. Where is the shadow size? Actually, I will move this from here. Here. Okay, for now, let's just return this rect. And there's probably some more places which we should fix, like this. I feel maybe I messed up this place. Oh yeah. Much better. Cool. I wonder what is causing the updates of the toolbar. I think those are the buttons. When I hover over the button, it suddenly animates. Same here. There is something in button on pointer over. Anyway, so let's adjust the button texture size. Those are the default dimensions. Let's move this elsewhere. Okay, we are actually not using this function yet. Yeah, that's a good reason why it's not drawn properly. Here we see the end of the texture. On the right we cannot see it. How about flip-flop? Almost, almost. Perfect. Okay, maybe still we have a clip. Maybe let's multiply it by 2. Actually, I think there is a difference between texture bounds and children outside, because children outside was used by pointer. I guess it's fine. Okay, so there is one more thing. When I'm dragging this slider, I need to keep invalidating the timeline object. Let's try to find this action. Cool. So this will invalidate timeline in some situations, but we also have this. Now we can wait for the rendering to stop. Cool. So now we can move those things and we are re-rendering everything. Actually, there is something weird. We shouldn't be redrawing next button and pref button. This doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, the invalidation logic was actually like super bad. We don't need to do any find here. I don't like recursive calls. I think this is a bad idea. That should fix it. Cool. Now when I move this, okay. There is an issue here. We are not accounting for the clip. Because here we are clipping those textures. when I move here in the middle, we are not drawing stuff outside because the visible section of the on-off track is different than the cached one. But here, the visible section on the on-off track is a subset of the cached texture. So we reuse it. Okay, I think we should just preserve the clip here. Blah blah blah, we have a lot of code here. And here we have draw children. So children are drawn without a clip. That's interesting. There is one simple solution. I could just move the draw children into the clipped drawing. And I think this is the right solution. Yeah. Oh, it's not, because we have buttons. I could do this manually, it's not a lot of work. here we are going to draw just the buttons. Yeah. See, it must have a fixed non-size. Cool. So like that. Nice. And we don't have this issue anymore. So one more thing we should do in this action for dragging the zoom slider. This is another issue. When we change the zoom, it shouldn't move like that, it should be scaled. I will rename this to draw children subset. So here is the issue. So the old texture contains the new bounds. I could invalidate it explicitly when its size changes, but I'm thinking maybe there is a more general principle here. Okay, I think the best way is to just invalidate the cache of every timeline. Yeah, now it looks fine. We have still so many objects to fix. So I think timeline mostly done. still need to handle record button, like yep. And that will be all in terms of timeline. In terms of other objects, we have plenty of things in timer delay. In this object, let's see. I think there are some numerical issues when we draw the... Oh yeah, when we move the object, it doesn't invalidate the connection. And I guess when we invalidate it after like long time, then we get numerical errors. Oh yeah, something crazy happens now. Also, when dragging locations, the invalidation doesn't work properly. Just drag action. Also, when an object gets a signal, it doesn't invalidate itself. Okay, what else? We have this object, hotkey. I think this is pretty much working okay. Hotkey is fine. Key presser should invalidate itself when it receives a signal. Okay, toolbar should report a larger texture size. Should invalidate itself when the mouse moves. and should return Then we have mouse, then we have this one, which also misses some stuff, because when we type stuff, it should invalidate its text field when it's changed. And I think that would be it. Oh, look at the big one, the connections. Yeah, I think I will take care of those invalidations off stream, because those are fairly... There are lots of kind of tiny potential bugs there, but like just adding the invalidations in the right places seems very straightforward. Maybe in connections we'll have some more hairy issues. Yeah. So I think I will end the stream now. I will take care of that off stream, and on the next stream hopefully we can take care of clearing the cache and maybe caching shadows, because caching shadows should bring FPS to like ridiculously high values. Yeah, right now we are around 1000, below 1000. We should get to a couple thousand once we take care of those invalidations. Anyway, this is it for today. So, see you on Wednesday for the next episode of optimizing. I tried to avoid optimizing it as long as I could, but yeah, it has to be done. And we have to take care of all of those places, all of those invalidations. Alright guys, see you.